It was day 2 of one of the most closely watched trials in recent celebrity history, and it did not disappoint. The courtroom was packed, the media was buzzing, and at the center of it all stood Cassie Ventura, visibly pregnant, composed, and determined. Her testimony, long awaited and deeply emotional, laid bare the shocking details of her past with music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. From the moment she took the stand, the atmosphere in the room changed. Everyone knew this moment was going to be intense, but what followed left even the most seasoned court reporters shaken.
8 months pregnant Cassie Ventura on the stand today, describing a complicated and abusive relationship with Sean Diddy Combs that began when she was 21. He controlled a lot of my life, Ventura said, calling Combs a scary person. Ventura testifying that they had violent arguments where he would mash my head, knock me over, drag me, kick me. She said a few months into their relationship, Combs suggested hiring an escort to have sex with her while he watched. My stomach churned, Ventura said. I was confused, nervous, but also loved him very much and wanted to make him happy.
Diddy, seated with his high-powered legal team, looked visibly unsettled within the first half hour. What started as a composed and confident demeanor quickly gave way to nervous gestures, fidgeting, and eventually, outright panic. Cassie began her testimony by recounting the early days, how she met Combs at the age of 19, a young model with dreams of a music career. He was already a powerful figure in the industry, a self-made multimillionaire with influence stretching across music, fashion, and media. The power imbalance, she noted, was obvious from the start. And it only grew with time. She explained how he gradually took control over her life, starting with little things like her outfits, her schedule, and who she could be around. Soon, it was her music, her collaborators, and her entire personal life that came under his direction. Cassie detailed how he would allegedly show up unannounced at her outings, demand access to her phone, and even installed tracking software that allowed him to know her every move. The courtroom fell silent when she revealed something most had only speculated about in whispers, what she called freak-offs. These were reportedly orchestrated encounters where Cassie, under Combs' direction, was expected to engage in sexual acts with third parties while he watched.
Combs called these choreographed sexual encounters freak-offs. Ventura today detailing how she and Combs would stay awake for days, taking drugs and having sex with strangers. She said at one point they happened weekly.
She explained that she didn't fully understand what she was getting into when these began, and at the time, felt she had little choice but to comply. She described feeling young, naive, and under immense emotional pressure. I thought I was doing what someone who loved me wanted, she said, breaking down as she spoke. Her voice cracked as she recalled one of the first such incidents. Afterwards, I felt dirty. I didn't want to do it again, she testified. She described sending an email years ago to Combs, attempting to open a conversation about stopping the practice. But when he responded coldly, she backtracked, afraid of what pushing back might cost her. As her testimony deepened, it was clear that this was not just about emotional manipulation. Cassie went on to allege physical abuse. She told the court that during arguments, he would shove her, throw objects, and, on more than one occasion, allegedly choked her to the point of near unconsciousness. She described one terrifying moment in a Miami rental where she said he pushed her down a flight of stairs. The jury's reactions were unmistakable. Some members turned away. One woman reportedly wiped away tears. Another juror appeared frozen, staring straight ahead. These weren't just stories, they were vivid, detailed accounts from someone who had lived them. Then came the part that shifted the entire courtroom. Cassie took out her phone and handed it to her attorney. Projected on the screen were text messages and emails from years past. In one message, Combs appeared to apologize after a violent outburst. In another, he made what seemed to be an offer of money, writing, "Whatever you need to move on, car, apartment, you name it." Another string of texts seemed to show him negotiating a payout in exchange for her silence, with an offer of $2 million, clean break. No talk about the last 5 years. Even more damning were the messages from others. Cassie presented screenshots of texts from high-profile industry names, fellow artists, producers, and executives, who had witnessed concerning behavior. One message from a well-known rapper said, "You okay? What I saw tonight wasn't right. You can stay with me if you need." A female pop artist messaged Cassie after an event saying, "He's never acted like that before. That was scary. Please call me." A longtime producer simply wrote, "I can't be part of this anymore. Let me know when you're safe." Each of these messages, now admitted into evidence, drove a deeper wedge into Diddy's legal defense. His team scrambled, objecting repeatedly. They argued hearsay, improper submission, and lack of authentication. But the judge ruled each time that the evidence was relevant and admissible. Diddy's physical reaction to all this was impossible to miss. Court observers described him as pale, sweating, and visibly agitated. He fidgeted constantly, shook his head in disbelief, and at one point, slammed his palm onto the defense table with such force that the judge had to pause proceedings and issue a warning. "Mr. Combs, if you can't control yourself, I will have you removed from this courtroom," the judge said sternly. Then came the most explosive moment of the day, and possibly the trial. Cassie's lawyer played a recording. On the tape, a man believed to be Combs could be heard making threats about Cassie's family if she ever revealed their history. As the audio played, Diddy stood up and yelled across the courtroom, "You know that's not how it happened." His legal team had to physically restrain him, pulling him back into his seat as the judge called an immediate recess. The outburst sent a shockwave through the courtroom. The jury saw it. The press saw it. The public saw it. And that may be the moment everything changed. When court resumed, it was clear the damage had been done. The confident mogul who had walked in that morning was gone. In his place sat a man alone, his entourage gone, his composure shattered, and his reputation hanging by a thread. Cassie wasn't done. She brought up an incident from 2016 at a Los Angeles hotel, a night that had never been mentioned publicly until now. She testified that after a public event, Diddy became enraged after seeing her speak with another man. She claimed he dragged her through the hotel lobby, whispering threats in her ear while maintaining a composed face in front of bystanders. Hotel security reportedly approached, but when they recognized Combs, they simply asked if everything was okay. He said yes, and they walked away. Cassie's voice lowered as she described what happened next. She said he locked her in the room, took her phone, and refused to let her leave for over 48 hours. She showed Bruce photographs she took in the bathroom mirror the next morning, images of a split lip, marks on her neck, and bruises on her arms. They weren't professional photos, just shaky cell phone shots. But that only made them more haunting. Diddy's lawyers again tried to argue against the photos being shown. But the judge allowed it. The jury's reaction spoke volumes. Some turned their heads. One juror covered her mouth in disbelief. A few members of the gallery, once filled with Diddy's supporters, got up and quietly left the courtroom. As the day closed, the energy in the room was heavy. Diddy sat quietly, almost slumped. Gone was the billionaire brand builder, the untouchable icon. In his place was a man facing the consequences of stories long buried and truths too powerful to ignore. Cassie's testimony, still not finished, had already shaken the courtroom to its core. And based on the evidence and reactions so far, it seems the trial has become less about proving what happened, and more about whether the legacy Sean Combs spent decades constructing can survive what the world has now heard. The empire he spent decades building, may be collapsing in real time. The trial continues. But after today, the question is no longer just about guilt or innocence. It's about whether the world will ever look at him the same way again.